Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorsky, Johnny Maloney. Guys, how are you? How have you been? I've had a very, very bad day. So, take it. Anyone else?
Oh, is it not something you want to talk about? Was it just like, is the rash back? We just want to keep it on the DL.
There was a rash. I don't remember what the rash was, but let's assume it was bad.
Okay.
I mean, I could explain, but it's not interesting.
That's the worst because you can't even. It's like, oh, this tragedy is so ripe to leverage for my broadcasting career, and some of it's like, dang, this is just bad.
Right.
This is normal bad.
Yeah. Right. It's sort of monotonous, and I don't think our audience would be interested.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever.
Yep. I have half a dozen law cases. I have a new obsession that I want to talk about. There's video games. There's video game news. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a Fire Emblem specific live event today. So, I've had quite a lot to think about over the last week. So
how many guys can you make kiss?
You know what? They were strangely cagey about the smooching this time, which I think is a weird tack to take because the last game they were like just full out as a smooch factory.
Sure.
This one they were much more into the microtransactions because it's a mobile game. Yeah. So the Fire Emblem stream announced a upcoming Nintendo Switch Fire Emblem. And the Nintendo Switch is, of course, a conversation unto itself. And they also revealed a...
Is that Echoes of Shadows? Shadowy Echoes of Forever?
The Fire Emblem mobile game is just Fire Emblem Heroes is the name of that game. Fire Emblem Echoes is the other game they announced, which is a remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden, sometimes known as Fire Emblem 2. Which has never been released in English before, although I have played it.
Yeah, and I saw it, like, while this event was going on, I saw you tweet about this and being like, I wouldn't have pulled that move because Fire Emblem 2 was not a very good game. To wit, I say to you, Mr. Yorsky, would you not want to remake the bad ones to make them then good? As opposed to remaking the good ones and running the risk of making them then bad.
That is absolutely a thing that we ascribe to here at WordFunk, is only remaking bad things, because good things are already good. Fire Emblem's a weird case, though, because the first 6 games have never been released in English. So remaking any of those would add value, good or bad, to, like, I guess just our Western perspective at least.
Are you saying that English is a gooder value?
No, I'm saying as a person who speaks English, it would add value to my purchase of a Nintendo piece of hardware to have a new Fire Emblem experience.
Well, that's an awfully Austin-centric way of thinking about the world, son.
It would be, except I've already played Fire Emblem Gaiden. So it's not that new to me. But long story short, there's a lot of Fire Emblem games we never got, and they keep giving us the ones I wouldn't expect. We got a remake of 1 and 3 back in the DS era, and I liked Shadow Dragon, the remake of 1. A lot of people didn't. And then the remake of 3 didn't come out here either because Shadow Dragon sold so poorly. So Fire Emblem is like a huge, twisted... it's bad. It's like a whole bramble patch of localization decisions that have created this kind of situation.
It's like a double helix that a birthday clown got a hold of and just twisted up into some weird DNA Fire Emblem kind of balloon animal.
Yeah, it would take longer to explain than is worth it, I think, is what it comes down to. Like, I've seen people tweeting about, like, oh, I got in that Awakening. Is this like that? And it's like, nope. Not really, actually. It's actually a lot different in a lot of ways. There's like, anyway, I don't want to go into the mechanics. Leon, his eyes will roll out of his head. But then they in this stream, they also expanded on 2 previously announced Fire Emblem games. So if you're keeping score at home, that's 4 Fire Emblem games in development total. One is Fire Emblem Warriors, which is a Dynasty Warriors game with Fire Emblem characters made by the same team who made Hyrule Warriors, which is Zelda with Dynasty Warriors.
That's Koei Tecmo, is that right? Is that them?
That is them. And Omega Force, I believe, is the specific team.
Yes.
And then the other one, which they had already announced, is the mobile game, which is it seems to be a very stripped down version of the strategy stuff with like a new good guy and a new bad guy, and then everyone in between is old guys returning. So it's kind of like the big comic book crossover, like, oh, there's a new threat. Everybody who is popular, come and help us, and also pay real money to be summoned into this fight, please.
And what's the title of their Microsoft Office competitor?
Nintendo?
Fire Emblem Parsing, I think it is.
See, you're making jokes about Nintendo being weird, but they actually announced that their voice chat for the Nintendo Switch will be a phone app?
No, I know that Nintendo is weird. I'm not like...
Yeah.
They're weird.
That's a rabbit hole. The Nintendo Switch looks like a pretty decent piece of hardware, which is going to be wasted on a bunch of very strange and not too appealing ideas, at least not to me. I'll play Splatoon and Smash Brothers and Mario Kart or whatever, but...
They're going to a monthly subscription service.
Yeah, for their online stuff. And
yeah.
Instead of giving you 2 games a month to keep, like Xbox and PlayStation, you get 1 NES or SNES game, so obviously something that you could just get for free. And you don't get...
month.
Huh?
For a month.
Yeah, you don't even get to keep it.
No, they dangle that in front of you.
Nintendo,
like so many Chippendales.
Nintendo, what do?
It is kind of cool that you can like suddenly play like I don't know, like a SNES game online with like co-op.
Yeah, but
stuff like that.
But Leon, it's going to be a curated collection too.
Well, I understand
that. So
I understand that.
And I mean, the Wii and Wii U had virtual consoles where you could play a lot of, those games, and also ROMs exist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I understand that, but like if I'm playing a ROM, I assume that it would be harder to say like set up. Well, maybe I don't know, but I feel like the online component is kind of cool for people who like that kind of thing. I personally hate playing with people. I understand that there are ways, but what I'm saying is, oh, look, there is a legitimate way that is probably user-friendly enough that I could do it if I were interested.
The problem is not that it's, like, great, it's legitimate, but it's obviously not what people are looking for. Like... Here. This is the thing. This is the thing. Okay, is that bringing modern software, relatively modern software. So let's go back, say, 2 generations of consoles, back to like the original Xbox, the original PlayStation, or PlayStation 2. We'll go back to. Okay, just like the very matter. Like the things that they are created of, their OSs, their hardware, and things like that, worked so much differently than computers do now that it's actually a pretty laborious and memory-intensive task to try and get them to work on new systems. I mean, it's why I don't know if you've ever... I don't know what operating system you have, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's probably 32-bit.
It is 64-bit.
Oh, you have a 60. Have you ever tried to install a 32-bit only piece of software on 64-bit, and it just goes, nope, can't, nope.
I've tried to install. I've tried to play older games, like having the old CDs of games into my modern computer, and it's saying like, what? What is even this?
Yeah. But the thing is,
that's not as much of an issue now that there's like Steam and good old games for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but the processes of these consoles, which are decades old now, you can comfortably run these processes on phones now, mobile phones, like that. That's the computing power required to actually run these.
Like I told you guys the story about my roommate who played Fire Emblem on his phone back when I was in college.
Yeah,
he was playing Shadow Dragon on the phones. The Shadow Dragon is a Nintendo DS game. There is not a phone port of that. That does not exist. But it's possible to emulate all this old stuff for Nintendo. Like Nintendo recently released, what was it, a Nintendo Classic, like this little NES box that came with like 30 games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hackers have basically looked through the files because Nintendo's encryption game is so weak. That's a whole other thing. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. And they found in the files of these games, some of them apparently had stuff in like the metadata that implies some of it may not be the clean Nintendo versions. Like maybe Nintendo or whoever's in charge of this, obviously, may have
Downloaded ROMs off the internet.
Yeah, they dumped a bunch of ROM files and then just slapped them in a piece of plastic. Anyone can do it. Your calculator can play Balloon Fight. It's not hard.
I saw a fucking Texas Instruments calculator play Doom once.
Yeah.
Look. They've demonstrated that the technology can do it. There's no discernible reason why, as a company, they can't.
Mm-hmm. If Nintendo had taken that stage and we're like, Nintendo Switch, we have a Netflix library of NES and SNES games for $10 a month. No, $15 a month. You can have unlimited access to these games.
I was at work, and I would have heard nerds just come all across the world at that point in time. There would have been like an Obi-Wan moment. Like, is everything okay? Oh my god, that was just a big orgasm right there.
Don't talk to me, Jeff. I'm downloading Kirby.
You guys don't have to explain piracy to me.
I know.
I'm trying to.
No, I'm not.
What I'm saying is, when legitimate avenues for doing things open up, I don't think that's something to be dismissed.
No, but here's the thing: is that something that Nintendo obviously doesn't understand is that they are competing with piracy. They are competing with piracy in this sense, because when people have two choices, and the first choice is legal, and it's undercooked and not really customer friendly, and it's not as deep a library or interesting or accessible or rich an experience or something like that, people are always going to go for that second option.
Especially with how disposable a lot of games from that era are. Like, I'm not going to drop $5 on Ice Climbers, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to play it once. I just looked it up. You know how much Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon is right now on Wii U, if you want to get that through the Virtual Console?
How much?
$10. Do you know how much it is for phones? Free. I mean, we've talked a lot about this kind of, like, it's better if people will pay for more convenience, and Nintendo's weird and all that stuff. I don't want to beat that horse to double death, but
my problem is that people don't understand the concept of the value of data.
Yeah.
The value of data is not like it's a car. There is one of it, and it can take you places, but you have to pay me this much money before you are allowed to use it. It's like data is like a song, insofar as that, like, if somebody else learns how to play it, sorry, like, you do not have exclusive control over that song anymore.
But we're talking about Nintendo, Johnny.
Other people can fucking sing.
You know what Nintendo thinks of data? Guess how much internal memory the Nintendo Switch has?
I honestly don't care, because
it's 32 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Come on.
Is that okay? Is that RAM or is that hard drive space?
No, that's hard drive. I'm saying that's how it's.
Are you 30? Are you fucking kidding me?
No, it's 32 gigabytes of SD memory.
Isn't Skyrim is coming out for it, and I read apparently too that this is not the remastered edition of Skyrim. This is Skyrim Classic for the Xbox fucking 360. Which I mean, bravo Nintendo.
I have games on Steam that are more than 32 gigabytes, Nintendo.
I'm absolutely fucking certain that I have at least 5 games installed on my computer right now that are over 32 gigabytes.
Listen, I'm going to buy a Switch at some point. I'm going to play Fire Emblem, I'm going to play Kirby, Zelda, Pokemon, Smash, Mario Kart. I'm going to. So, like, maybe all of this is, like, meaningless because they got me anyway.
I'm not... this is... People always accuse me of slagging on Nintendo, and I just want to, like, I every time I feel like I have to defend myself and say, no, I fucking love Nintendo. They do what they do. They get away with what they do because they do it well. Nobody beats Nintendo at Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
There's nobody who has those like family friendly, whimsical characters, colorful worlds. Like they're fanciful and they're not afraid to like buck modern cynicism and this whole like everything has to be grim dark bullshit that happens in video games these days. You know, like Splatoon and like the new Link game, Breath of Wind or whatever it's called. I mean, it looks colorful and engaging, and you know, even seeing Super Mario run around New Donk City.
I wish we had recorded this earlier because I'm already kind of burned out on New Donk City as a hilarious thing to come out of my mouth because I've been saying it nonstop all week.
Did you see the guy who modded Mario into Grand Theft Auto 4 for the PC?
Yes. Yeah, and it hits my cars, and it's really unsettling to see Mario ragdoll.
That is a beautiful work of art.
Oh,
right
yikes!
There. But so that's the thing. I'm not saying that like, because everybody else is always, every time Nintendo announces a new console, they're always like, the Wii, will it be the death of Nintendo? The Wii U, will it be the death of Nintendo? The Switch, will it be the death of Nintendo? Fucking no. No, it won't. People are going to buy it, and you know what? They're going to like it just fine. They're going to have fun with it. Because Nintendo excels at giving fun. They just don't give it very well.
I remember back in the BT podcast days when we talked about Nintendo maybe going mobile, when that was still like this weird pipe dream that probably would never happen, and now it's definitely happened, and they've made a killing, even though, in my opinion, those games so far have been bad.
Well, they're not even doing it. They're just saying, you can use this picture and put it on the front of your game.
True, but like I think they have some room to make mistakes as long as they're raking in record profits on those games for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely,
the novelty will wear off eventually, I guess, but they've bought themselves time, definitely.
Okay.
Well, if Nintendo's good at anything, it's actually about renewing their novelty.
Yeah, the latest Pokemon really outsold their expectations. People are like suddenly really into Pokemon again.
Go figure. Yeah. People into Pokemon. I never thought I'd see it.
What a fad.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Nintendo. They're weird, but I love them. Do you guys have another topic that you want to move to?
I'm really into vitamin D.
Yeah?
Me too.
Going outside?
No.
Oh.
Taking pills.
Me too.
You can just go outside, boys.
No, okay,
yeah,
all right.
But there's more to it than that when you're older.
Oh, no.
So here's the thing, Austin.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, no. Right. Does your D game get weak?
It does, actually.
Your D game gets super weak. And not only that, but like in these seasons particularly, you see, you're like close to being equatorial. At least, you know,
okay.
as close to being equatorial as America gets.
Yeah.
Leon and I live in the frozen north.
Yes, I sure do, Johnny.
Yep. Edmonton sure is cold this time of year.
Well, let's just return to the thing at hand, which is your D game. What's going on?
Okay, all right. Yeah, so the vitamin D game, basically, which is important for, basically your absorption of calcium and, like, strong bones, and also, apparently, related to, like, energy and moods, like production of melatonin and things like that, and your sleep schedule and blah, blah, blah. So, here's the thing, Austin, right? I'm getting old. And as the senior member of this podcast, right, I have, in a matter of days, essentially, I will be reaching an age where people are basically starting to tell me that it might be a good idea for me to start getting regular doctor checkups.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I am getting close to 40. On Monday, I turn 37. And apparently that's, like, worrisome. People are like, yeah, I mean, you know, like, maybe your cholesterol and your sodium levels, and you want to check your blood pressure, and it's very possible that your heart rate's running a little too low, and how's your calcium, and are you getting enough fiber? So, and this is all just news to me, because, you know, nobody like, I didn't get a pamphlet that was just sort of like, hey, you're getting close to middle age. How would you like a doctor to stick his finger up your butt? Because that happened to me already a few years ago. But that was because I was sick. And now, apparently, it might just become a thing. Particularly in Canada, above the 49th parallel, we tend not to get a lot of sun during the winter months. As it stands right now, I leave my home in the dark. The sun rises in, like, the 15 minutes it takes me to drive to work. And then, when I leave work, the sun is setting. I get no sun at all, whatsoever, during these months. And I'd never really nailed it down that during the winter months, I'm tired, and I'm more irritable, and I'm gross, and I don't like shaving, and, you know, I wear the same pair of socks for like 3 days, and they get crunchy, and I just don't care. So, I had a conversation with my mother, who works as a medical office assistant, and the doctor who employs her is like, people in Canada don't get enough fucking vitamin D! Maybe not in those words exactly. So it was put to me that maybe if I started supplementing vitamin D into my life, that things would start working out. I haven't napped in a week and a half. 0 naps. Yeah!
Oh, and it's working out. I wasn't sure if it's like you're so full of the D that you can't nap. It's just you don't need to.
I got so much D.
You're filled up on D.
I am like, I've got a D up to here.
I'm so happy for you.
I know, it's great. I really recommend the D.
Oh my god! So we're gonna keep doing this.
So this is the show now.
No, that's fine. I too, you know, just because I'm well into my 30s now, I have to take vitamin D pills. I also take like a regular multivitamin, just because. I also take.
Those are not necessarily good for you, though.
They're not the best, but I'm told that because of various other things.
You've been advised by a physician.
I've been advised by my physician.
Oh, what if we're doing this show in like 20 years, guys, and we're like,
yeah,
my nursing home. I don't know how we're gonna age, but you're like,
in 20 years, I'm just gonna swear more. That's gonna be it.
That's it. You're not gonna be like. Yeah. These new virtual helmets let me feel young again. I've been transported back to the 90s.
No, I mean, but that's what I say now. So
yeah.
In 50 years, I'm gonna be like, it's a real pain in the fucking ass to get the sensor thing into the back of your neck so it connects up to your spinal cord. I mean, shit. I didn't go to school for this.
President Zuckerberg said these new helmets would be much better.
Okay.
And Leon's just gonna be like, I hate everything.
Yeah, I hate all this new stuff. Why did they even make it?
Bring wrestling back.
Oh, it does in the future.
Because in the future, I mean, it's just gonna be like gladiatorial combat. At least I think that's what President Trump said.
Okay, you said it. You said that. You've invoked it. Break the deal. Face the wheel. We're in Thunderdome.
I do it for you, Austin.
Thank.
I'm trying to acclimatize you to reality because I recognize that you're like, you know, a precious little pupper. But even precious little puppers have to go outside sometimes and face the day, as dark as it may be.
When this episode airs, he will be president. So
officially,
this is the transitional episode where we're recording it during the last days of the Barack Obama administration, and
soon to be known as the waning golden age.
In it will debut either on the day, like probably almost immediately after he takes office.
Yeah, I've been having so many mixed feelings about Obama recently because it's like, by comparison, he may as well have been perfect, but they're like obviously not. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like all these real genuine criticisms to be made, and like none of them are being made because we're all just since we're just terrified all the time.
I was really happy to see Chelsea Manning's sentence.
That's
get commuted.
specifically what I was talking around, I guess. Yeah. If you're, there's not much to say, because if you're the kind of person who thinks someone should be tortured for 7 years for exposing the murder of civilians by a militarized, like
a publicly funded military force.
Yeah, I don't know that we just can see eye to eye on anything, and like, I'll miss your listenership, but I'm sorry, I don't think we can hang out anymore.
How I feel about all politicians now, in America anyway, is that all of their, let's say, foreign policy and war-related stuff is never going to be stuff I'm going to be super cool with, because we're in a forever war, and not even like far left liberal Democrats, at least by American standards, are calling for like withdrawals and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I've just sort of like have to deal with the fact that everyone's a hawk now, and I have to care more, and I have to make my votes based on their domestic policies.
Everybody,
and that sucks, but that's the way it is.
It's a historical institutional problem. Like no president can get into office and just go, guess what, everybody? Sexism is over. Yeah. You know, they can't just be like, racism is over. Yeah. Hey, we don't have a beef with China anymore. Yeah. You know, like you can't do that. You can't.
Yep.
You know, like it's a sad reality that I feel like there's a lot of people, you know, both in America, Canada, like Western nations that I can easily relate to sort of like tack Brexit on there as well,
Yep.
where people are looking for perfect politicians. They're looking for the dawn of a new day, where we can all wake up, you know, fresh-faced, doughy-eyed, and just go, man, you know, we kind of fucked up the last 50 years or so.
50? I was thinking like, okay, look, we messed this up the last 4,000 years or so, but surely this time we'll elect someone perfect.
You know, like, I don't want to reach back that far, because I don't really think that many people are in Canada or America or Britain are like way down on Machiavellian politics in Venice in like the 16th fucking century, you know. But for like the purposes of the alive population, where you've got people who are stretching back, who've been alive for like, you know, 80, 90 years, right? And having this kind of like chunk in the middle where it's like, okay, so these are the people who are old enough to know what's going on around them, and these are the people who are not so old that they are only concerned about how hot the soup is, which is an ageist thing to say, perhaps, but you know, there's a mean, is what I'm saying, you know, the parabola. And like, to be able to look at that gap of time right there and say, ooh, we kind of fucked this period up, but don't worry, because tomorrow, ooh, gah, we got a new guy coming in and everything's gonna change. It's not gonna change, you know?
I mean, that's deliberate in the construction of at least the American system, is that it's supposed to be pretty hard to get things done. That's why Congress is such a clusterfuck of rules and regulations, and the way that these things are even supposed to get done is supposed to be glacial. So that I was actually literally just reading this Federalist paper about like, hey, we don't want sectarian factions to like seize power in a fit of passion and override our democracy. So let's put in all these. It'd be a shame
for an oligarch to rise to power on the waves of some far-right reformation of, I don't know, some pseudo-major party in American politics or anything like that.
But the idea is to like deliberately make things kind of difficult, so that it'll be also difficult for bad people. But then if you don't respect the way things are done. I guess just like the illusion of the whole thing has been shattered, right? Because like people used to play by rules, and like even if I disagreed with them, like in my lifetime, like George W. Bush, Mitt Romney, like McCain, like I disagreed with them, but like at least they were trying to like do the thing we all do, like the contract we've all made to pretend that certain things matter and that we care about and we value certain decorum and stuff.
Right.
And just all of that's out the window, like a lot, and it's weird.
The way I see it is either the ethics office is going to be working overtime for at least 4 years, or there's not going to be an ethics office very soon.
It was close,
because that is also a possibility.
Yeah. In the interest of getting us off politics, if anybody wants to just go look that up themselves, I'm talking about the Federalist number 10 was specifically the thing I was talking about, if you want to read that. But do you guys want to move on before we alienate at least the foreign listeners, if not the Americans who are tired of it?
Well, I have something to say.
I would love to hear it.
I'm going to say some names.
Okay.
And then I want you to tell me what they all had in common.
Ooh, a game.
Because that'll be a fun game. Yeah, it's kind of like a game.
Okay.
This will be completely harmless and not at all controversial like the last thing we were talking about.
Cool.
Okay. Julius II. Paul III. Gregory XIII.
Popes!
Yes, but...
Young popes!
Nope.
No.
The opposite. They're old.
Hot young popes! Barely legal popes!
Those popes are old.
Local man arrested in local underage pope sting.
You know what? You're actually not that far off from what you just said, Johnny. Any other guesses before I keep going? I mean, I could list more.
They're definitely popes, but is there something specific about them?
Yes, there is.
Okay, because I don't have all the popes memorized. There's a lot of those boys.
No, that's fine. There are. They are sexually active popes.
Oh, you looked at the sexually active popes Wikipedia page, I see.
I did. I just found someone linked it. I was like, okay, I'll click on this. And it was like, oh, I want to read all about this.
That's my second favorite pope topic. The second...
What's your first favorite pope topic? The hat?
No, my favorite. No, I'm not even talking about like articles of clothing or like geographic peculiarities of the Vatican. I'm talking about specifically on the topic of popes. If you could categorize them,
you're a pope's origins man.
So there's like
everybody loves the origin story.
Well, there's old popes.
So it was that Paul was bitten by a radioactive Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
It's not origins necessarily, just like categories, because there's sexually active popes, there's old popes, there's young pope. There's only one right now, but on HBO. And then my favorite category, which is anti-popes. Do you guys know about anti-popes?
Now let's be clear about this. Are we talking about anti-popes that are married to uncle popes, or are we talking about like
the distinguished pope family?
Popes that repel other popes.
I have read
magnetic.
I'm sorry. I've read I think I've read something about anti-popes before, but here's the thing. I do not remember the definition.
Yeah.
Tell me all about anti-pope.
I wish it was like really exciting. It's just people who claim to be pope and had followings as the pope who are considered not legitimately elected pope.
But that's not really an anti-pope, is it?
It's more like a pope guidon.
That's like a pope adjunct.
Well, like it's back in an
impopesionator?
Stick and rock. It's not like they were just going down and like telling people, look, I'm the pope. And someone's like, hey, is that guy the pope? It's like back in stick and rock times when it was kind of hard to enforce things uniformly and we didn't have the internet or phones and whatnot. And so you could be influential in the neighborhoods that you know what I'm saying, like that you could get to, and maybe another guy is in other ones or something. Politics were weird when we didn't have missiles.
But that's still not really anti-popes, you know.
Yeah. I think all right, well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is the term anti-pope, was that given to them by the church?
That's a good question. I think it's just like a scholarly thing. Like
it sounds derogatory.
Okay, all right. Hang on. I need to clarify something. Especially, is this when you say anti-pope? Is this ANTE pope, as in prior to the pope?
No.
And yes, that is a church joke. Prior to the pope.
Okay.
No.
Or
is anti as in opposition to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because that doesn't sound like you're really opposed to the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like you're like, God save the Pope.
It sounds more like the Pope is opposed to you. The real Pope is opposed to you calling yourself the Pope, which is why I assumed that was a term given by the church.
See,
to
I would go with Pope contender. Because then
I feel like
then you could have a way off and be like, in this corner,
I feel like
hailing from the Sea of Galilee. Sorry.
No, okay. I was just saying that, like, if you call yourself the Pope and then you never become the Pope, then you were never really the Pope. Much like in the same way that the Confederacy was never really a country.
Nice. Confederacy slam. I mean, but that gets into the question of who decides what's legitimate, right?
Yeah.
And in these contexts, we're talking about, this is like in the year 200. Like, these were not people with very advanced systems of like cataloging and, enforcing stuff. This was dirt times, right? So,
yeah.
And I'm looking on this Wikipedia page now, right? And so it's like some of these popes did have significant followings. I don't know if there's numbers that I could look up, but like some of these people would argue that they had just as much of a claim, because who's to say, right? Like,
well, I mean, I'm looking at, like, here, how do I put this?
Here's the thing, Austin.
yeah.
Neanderthals were still human.
Okay.
All
I'm
right.
with you so far.
Okay. But Homo sapiens just kind of like went the distance. I mean, there's evidence that we interbred and things like that, and we were like,
That is
oh,
what I
hey,
heard.
you guys like pick berries like this and things like that? Because it's one thing to look back on and go, oh shit, the one true Pope. But at the time, it's like, well, I don't know, it's up in the air,
This metaphor got so weird.
The evolution of ideas and the evolution of biology are very similar things.
I thought of a really heinous, and I don't mean to cut you off.
What those evolving ideas are called? Weirdly enough, memes.
Yeah.
I thought of a very heinous, terrible, unspeakable joke earlier this week, and I was going to tweet it and ruin my entire career, but then I thought, no, I'll save it for the show no one listens to.
Sounds good to me.
Well, we'll see if I leave it in.
Okay. It was if you think about it, and I guess this requires okay, so let me back up. I guess this requires
This
I know.
joke requires a backstory.
It requires
You've already bobbled it on.
I know, because it's funny to me as a religious person. I don't know if you know this, because it requires the knowledge that people refer to the New Testament as the good news.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
Okay, so this joke doesn't need a bibliography.
Okay,
it just needs an explanation.
Yeah, so the joke was, and this is what I was going to put on Twitter without that, and which is, I don't know if that would have made it better or worse, but I was going to say, if you think about it, isn't Christianity the original fake news?
Oh. See,
You get a participation ribbon.
Really?
you're a Christian, you weirdo.
That's not bad. That's not bad, actually. That's pretty good. I like that.
It's not a bad joke, but it's a bad joke.
Yeah, that's why I didn't. That's why I saved it here. It's
You
not,
want me to leave that in?
as long as, I think everyone who listens to this knows that I don't actually mean it, right? If you're listening, can you nod to me? I'll sense it here in the
You go
past.
to church and stuff, so I guess you're allowed to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to church.
So you're allowed. So you're allowed to say that. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, I haven't in a while, but
Okay. All right. But I am sorry. I didn't mean to track your Sundays. Go ahead.
submit your planner for approval.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's so obviously a joke, but if you're uncomfortable putting it in the show, then you can take it out.
No. I'm uncomfortable putting in things that I say that I feel like I've gone too far. If you don't feel like you've gone too far, I'll probably leave it in. That's how I go. That's how I do.
It'll be a fun surprise when I get the hate mail. All right. Anybody else want to pivot away from? Unless you guys want to talk about the young Pope. Have any of us watched it?
I haven't.
I feel like that's what started
I've-
this conversation.
It's only valuable to me as a joke.
Okay.
Frankly, I mean, I honestly I don't care how good it is, because I can't get past how ridiculous it feels to me. I can't.
All right, I have a question because I don't know anything about it except jokes about it. Is it about a historical pope who happened to be young, or is this about a modern day fictional pope? Because I genuinely don't know anything about
I believe it's a modern day fictional pope.
It's
okay. I'm sorry.
It's a near future pope because there's it's like there's like some technological advances. I haven't seen it, but from what I've heard, it's like
so it's science fiction.
It's okay. Here's what it is. It's Pope the Next Generation.
Yeah. My understanding, it's like the near future, and this young pope has been elected as a compromise because the two front runners one was too conservative and one is too liberal. So they're like,
because old guys never, ever, ever get established in positions of power ever.
But the idea was that they would use him as a puppet, basically, to carry out their agendas. But they didn't count on him being a rebel. Pew, 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 pew.
Fucking millennials, man.
And he smokes, and he's cool.
Is Jude Law that young?
No, he's like 45, right?
Right. No, but for a pope,
he looks good. But...
He's pretty young for a pope, though. I mean, if you lined all the popes up, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, you gotta have sex with one. I'd be like, dude, let's go get a glass of wine.
I think it has to be one of the Pope innocents, just for the,
you just want bragging rights.
Yeah.
You just want to be like, guess what I did on Sunday?
Oh, on Sunday,
I went to church, baby.
See, you're doing it like for the lulz, but I would do it like practically, and I would go with the first one because that would get me into heaven. I mean, he wouldn't kick me out, right?
Wait, so you're once again using this hypothetical to try to travel through space and time?
Yeah, I'm just saying that if I had to have sex with Pope, it would be St. Peter.
This is a theme with you. Every time it's like
that's clever.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I mean, he's all right.
But you'd have to be a tender lover though, because what if you were a bad lay?
I feel like I could go the distance.
What happens is you show up at the gates, and it's like, St. Peter's like looking over the ledger and looks up and goes, "Oh shit." Oh.
Look, Johnny, I feel like it's been established that I'm really just in it for whoever else is with me. So
we cannot.
I'm gonna make sure
we cannot.
St. Peter is gonna have a very good time, and I'm gonna be like, whatever.
Maybe you're not his type.
Okay, first of all, fuck you,
Leon. I'm not making any judgments.
I feel like you are.
No, listen, I would bang the hell out of St. Peter. Don't you dare come on my podcast.
I would be his type by the end of it.
Maybe he's got the yellow fever or something. All right.
Wow.
Jesus, look, I didn't think it could get any more, and then it did.
Yeah,
it got very.
I know. I mean, the only way that one would assume that I would be. Let me double check here because I'm looking back at sexually active popes.
Yeah.
I think you have the know-how and the drive. I'm not trying to slag on your ability to go the distance, as you put it.
Oh my God, can we not?
A few of them were probably gay, according to this. Pope Benedict IX was probably super gay.
Do you figure there are people in the Catholic Church that are probably gay?
I'm just saying that, that might be. I might have a shot.
The popes strike me as a very pale bunch. Do you think they would benefit from some of the D?
They probably would. I think increasing the amount of D they got. You'd have to find a way to get it in them quick, though.
Well, because their big hats block out the sun, of course.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Well, maybe that's why Saint. Nope.
Yeah. Someone was. We have a blasphemy counter here, and it was turning over, and Leon looked at it, and he's like, "No, we're not setting the record this time. Put it back."
I think it might be time. I think it might be time to leave this subject behind.
Okay. No, mine was going to gently dip its toe into racism. So Jesus. I'm going to move on. Okay. Next. Anything else? Literally anything else.
Yeah.
So far we've insulted half the country.
Have we?
All Christians, I guess, or at least the Catholics.
I'm trying to imagine the person who has listened to 150 episodes of this show and thinks that I seriously hate Christians. That's...
Yeah, but every
Yeah.
episode is someone's first.
Okay, well, maybe if I just keep saying stuff like that, they'll take my word for it.
Cool.
How many of the
We can
shows
have
did we have
disclaimers,
before we
I
got
don't mind.
canceled? 138 is how many we had, guys. It was a good run.
Yep.
All right.
Leon?
Yeah.
Leon?
What's up?
Swiss Army Man was a great movie.
Hell yeah. I loved that movie. I was like almost in tears. That's how beautiful I thought it was.
I was taken aback by it. Great film. Great film.
Yeah.
And I was not expecting it. I was not expecting it for it to be so earnest and just like funny and charismatic and connective and yeah, like that was some film.
Yeah, when I read the description of it, I was like, this might be fun. But then I just found that it was very like sincere. So yeah, it was just a really gorgeous movie. And the thing is, the subject matter, I guess, or how do I put this? The premise, I should say, is not what the movie is about. It's like, is what I'm trying to say. The movie is not about farts. It just happens. It kind of is in the sense that it's about sincerity and being open to people and not hiding who you are out of fear of what the rest of society will think of you, as explained by farts. But yeah, it's kind of great. Is what I'm trying to say. The ending is amazing.
Yeah.
Like there's like a double twist or something, and it's just perfect.
I watched it pretty much twice in 2 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I watched it by myself. I came home from work on the Friday night, and I put it on the television while I was cleaning up in the kitchen. And then I finished pretty quickly, and I sat down. And I just watched the rest of it. I was like, "Oh my god, Stephanie has to see this." Occasionally, they do this thing at their school where the syllabus will have a list of movies that'll be like, okay, there's a person in this movie that you need to basically write a case study on. And I was watching this movie, think to myself, like, this is super psychologically fascinating because it never really tips its hand as to exactly what's going on. So there's a lot of like unreliable narrator play that goes on and other things. I don't want to get too much into the actual metrics of the plot because I don't want to blow it for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. But so I watched it. I was just like, oh my god, I have to watch this with Stephanie. They wouldn't believe this movie. So the very next day we sat down and we watched it together. And just spectacular film. Brilliant.
Okay.
So I'm throwing my hat in with Leon's recommendations for best films of 2016. Swiss Army Man. See it.
Oh yeah.
See it. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful movie.
Nice.
All right. We just had a lot of positivity after all of that, and I'm glad. That was a nice palate cleanser.
Yeah. I had a thing I wanted to talk about, but I don't know if you guys will have anything to contribute. I guess we're just going to find out.
Go for it. Let's do this.
So,
is it about the fact that St. Peter was also a sexually active pope?
God, I bet he was hot as hell, right?
I'm just saying that, like, he's not pious. I feel like I had a shot. Anyway, go ahead.
The other day, my roommate brought out a box he keeps in a closet, which was filled to the brim with Magic the Gathering cards.
Oh.
Okay.
And my life has been irrevocably changed again.
Austin. Oh, you poor man.
So I played Magic like in middle school. I stopped playing around Mirrodin, if that means anything to the people who are listening.
It means something to me.
Oh my God, Johnny! I can't believe we're about to talk about Magic. I'm so fucking hard. This is gonna be so good.
I'm gonna read my emails.
I stopped playing Magic because it. Everyone knows it's the most expensive thing you could possibly be addicted to. It's unfucking tenable to keep up with it because, like a lot of card games, it comes in like expansions, and older cards will become illegal to play in most formats, and the new stuff will be what you're supposed to play because it's more balanced and it's what people are playing for money. Was those cards?
Yeah, the only way that Magic becomes a tenable hobby is if you attend weekly events. And they do this everywhere. This is how Wizards of the Coast makes their money now, because they know that like Dungeons and Dragons, people get it for free off the internet and things like that. Is that they host events that you go to at local hobby stores that become partners with Wizards, and then everybody puts in like $5, and it's like okay, or $10 or something, and it's like okay, you get 3 packs. But then, like, everybody drafts the cards. So you don't just open your 3 packs and get whatever it is. Everybody opens a pack, and you get to pick one, and then you pass the rest of them left. So everybody has this, like, mixture of cards. But then, like, the guys who win get, like, packs for free!
Yep.
And then they get tons of cards and shit like that. And that is honestly the only way that you can, unless, like, short of dedicating, all of your leisure money that you would normally use to see movies or subscribe to Netflix or buy video games or shit like that, into buying cards, you're totally right. It's a money fucking machine. And it speaks to how much money it makes that even now they're still like every 4 to 6 months they're like, new expansion.
Yeah, man, there's so many different angles I want to attack this from like like Hasbro owns Wizards, which owns both Magic and D&D. So there's been like this consolidation and like coming together of both tabletop role playing and trading card games and toys under like one umbrella, and the way that they've kind of monetized these things from every angle, and they're getting more tech savvy with like Magic Online and like embracing people playing through things like Roll20, like which we do on our other show, and
Duels of the Planeswalker too.
Yeah, we're seeing like just this like new era of tabletop nerd shit, which is really cool, which didn't exist back when I started getting into this stuff. Like I said, in middle school, I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament level. Like I pulled a Mechanical Chaser from like a Tournament 1 pack that probably means nothing to anybody, but it was a big deal at the time. Like people offered me like $100 on the spot to buy that when I pulled that out. You got a special pack that was only available to people who won official tournaments. And like
you were what, like 8?
I was like maybe like 10. 10 or 11 or something.
$100 is a lot of money to a 10-year-old.
It's an incredible amount. It's more than I had any like understanding of, but that's also precisely why I had to stop playing all those kind of things. I just literally couldn't afford it. Like we couldn't afford food, let alone those kind of things. So it's like I played Magic for like, God, it was from like through the block before Mirrodin, which was like Scourge or something. It was like very monster heavy, and then Mirrodin came around as like artifacts, and then I just couldn't do it anymore. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Was similar. Like I played from the beginning of its introduction to the English-speaking world, the West, and up through like the first tournament cycle. And you can like Google like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki Tournament Pack 1. Like they actually have it arranged like chronologically and stuff. So like there's a very distinct timeline of these things, and Magic works the same way, where there's like an evolving story, and they used to publish novels in the Magic verse of these characters, and now I think they're short stories which are published on Magic's website instead of.
I still can't get over that they named Jace Bellerin.
There's a lot of
like,
whack names.
That just sounds like a guy that you meet in Brooklyn.
Oh God, I want to find this card. I was looking at this earlier. Hold on, Johnny, talk to Leon about Magic for a minute. I had to go find a card. I'm gonna do this. I'll be right back.
So,
Johnny, I have a question.
Yeah.
When discussing Magic the Gathering, do you always have to say Magic the Gathering, or can you just say Magic?
Most of the time when it's like when it's the in crowd, everybody just says Magic. Yeah, I play Magic. But outside of that bubble,
Yeah.
when you tell someone, "Yeah, I play Magic," they're like, "What?
With doves?
do you pull rabbits out of hats?
Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
Do you make uncomfortable balloon animals out of weird double helix DNA?" Yeah, so
I'm
so
back.
people-
Are you guys talking about popes?
No, we were talking about Magic the Gathering.
Nice.
and about how important the suffix of the gathering is.
Yeah, because
What are you What are they gathering, and who is Magic?
No, you see, it is like the quickening. They are gathering.
yeah, originally
Okay,
it
but
was
who are
supposed to be magic and then other subtitles because magic was too generic to trademark. So there was going to be like magic the something else, but then the Gathering kind of stuck, and so they name expansions under the umbrella of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, Magic the Baconing. There was going to be Magic the Greasening.
I think that people.
I'm pretty sure at one point in time it was going to be Magic the Rubbeting, but then someone was like, "That's not a word."
I think what is Gathering are like the characters who
Yeah,
exist in this
that's what I mean.
universe.
They like
Yeah.
it's like the Highlander, the Quickening, where
Yeah.
they're all like they all get together and they're like, "It's Quickening." It's like
who-
I guess we better get gathering, boys.
Who are the characters? I mean,
Yeah.
are there just is what is the storyline of Magic the Gathering?
Okay.
Oh God, I'm not.
Yeah.
Austin.
Yeah.
You go.
So originally, all the events in Magic the Gathering took place on a single plane, and the expansions explored the characters who lived there as they overcame a bunch of apocalyptic events, which were, I think, orchestrated by something called Yawgmoth. And then eventually they defeated him, and then they introduced like planeswalking as a really big element. So a lot of characters are planeswalkers. They're like kind of the protagonists of Magic, and they walk to other planes, like Dungeons and Dragons. They actually like teleport to other planes and have adventures there. And now every expansion of Magic is kind of like, let's go investigate a new plane and learn about it. So there's like Innistrad, which is like a gothic horror plane. The one they're in now is called Kaladesh, and it's like a Middle Eastern steampunk magic. It's like all of their inventions run on this blue magic called ether. But besides that, it's steampunk set in like a fantasy Middle East. There's like Zendikar, which is like this world of adventure, which turned out to be like has sealed Cthulhuoids in it and stuff. So like every story of Magic is like the planeswalkers go to a new plane and adventure happens, usually because there's an evil dragon.
But why are they fighting each other with cards?
So the conceit of the game is when you play Magic, you are a planeswalker who is, and all your cards are spells that you're casting to fight the other planeswalker, and presumably both because like one of you is good and one of you is evil. Like it's a card game, so like that's you just have to kind of work with that. But they've introduced planeswalker cards, so if you like have a good planeswalker as like the strongest card in your deck, then you can just role play a good guy, and then the other person could be a bad guy. I don't know.
What's fantastic for me about the whole thing, and I'm just going to revert to being 13 years old at this point in time, is that when you access the energy that you have to use to cast spells, you tap it.
Yeah, you tap that. There's nowhere else to go with that joke. It's just
That's
tap is a
just.
fun
I mean,
word.
I've always loved that. But somebody first explained to me, it was like, yeah, and then you tap that. I'm like, what?
Hell yeah. Wizards actually owns the fucking trade right, like the copyright on turning a card 90 degrees to represent its usage. You can't add that to your game because they own that. Here's the card I went and got. I saw it earlier, and I looked at this, and it set off every bullshit alarm I have for writing. Magic is one of the many things it's famous for, is having flavor text at the bottom of cards, through which it characterizes characters in the story or lets you know about the world, or sometimes they're just funny. A lot of Goblin cards have very funny flavor text. But I pulled this one. It's called Mind Control, and it shows like a wizard riding on a huge scary beast, and it's like having, I guess, controlled it. And at the bottom, it has a quote from this wizard, which says, Every primitive mind has a motive, easy to find and eminently exploitable. Quote attributed to, and this is the reason I pulled it, Noyan Dar Tazim Lolmage. There are 4 words, and not a single one of them
mean anything.
None of them are real. Noyan Dar Tazim Lolmage. the lol mage is presumably like their occupation, but
they do it for the lols.
None of that is real. And that's the thing I hate most about fantasy is bullshit made up terminology. And yet I love magic. I love it. I love the art.
One of the things about the mythos of magic that I have always enjoyed is that it's very dedicated to itself. No, like, and this is the thing. There's a lot of fantasy, and there's a lot of science fiction out there that just kind of like plays it off the cuff, where rules that were previously really important rules don't apply now because something else has to happen. That regions don't become important anymore because this is where the story takes place now. That thing that happened a while ago isn't really important anymore because, now this has to happen. I always sort of felt that way about the Wheel of Time books, about Robert Jordan's writings, was that whatever had passed didn't really matter. The lore of the universe didn't really matter that much because it was always like, well, what's going on now? It wasn't really as too self-aware. And science fiction is particularly bad for this, where you see fans that are like super versed in these like deep science fiction that have been like around for decades type things, like fucking Doctor Who. And then just because a writer wants to like do something weird in the TV show, they do something that the fans just can't deal with. But magic is like really dedicated to itself.
It has a really commendable confidence about it and things like that. I definitely agree with you because like there was a set called Innistrad, which is like the gothic horror, like vampires, werewolves, like cool. And then like, I don't know, 6 years later, 7 years, I don't remember exactly. Like they had a set like Return to Innistrad where it's like, hey, let's go check up on those guys. It's like, it's a collectible card game. Do you actually think nerds care about like your Oh, they do? Oh, they actually do a lot.
Fuck yeah, they do.
Like, oh man, I got to see how the Angel of Light is doing or whatever. It's like people, they shouldn't be attached to any of these. Like, there's like 14,000 unique cards or some shit. It's like, it should be scientifically impossible with your brain meat to contain all that this game has become over 30 years. And like, I stopped playing for most of my life, and I still like, I remember my goblin deck from Scourge so vividly. I really want that deck back. It's so good.
The great thing about it too is that it's all mechanics. Like it's, and this is one of the things too, like when MOBAs became a thing, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I can't learn the language. That's it. Like I can't learn the language. There's so much nerd language like rattling around in my head for all these things that I don't do anymore. But like even to this day, I'm sort of like, if you gave me the right collection, I could probably still make a pretty good control deck. Like it just.
Oh, that's such a good question, Johnny. What colors do you play? I haven't played Magic for fun.
Oh man, in a long time. Even when I was working at the game store, I was not playing it for fun.
Jeez.
The only time I would jump in and play Magic was when we had release parties, and we didn't have enough for like a tournament ladder or like a tree or something like that, or on Friday Night Magic when we were like short a guy or two. I'd be like, throw me in, no problem, I'll do it. But that was my job,
I'm looking at this card now, and I'm bursting with things to say. Do you know there's a pen mark on the back of these cards across the T where it says Deck Master? On every single Magic the Gathering card, there's a stray pen mark because there was one on like the originally printed cards, and they've had to keep it so that you can't tell the difference between cards from the back. Mm-hmm. So like on every one until this day, there's this fucking typo, like this misprint on the back of every single one of these things. It's, I love these things so much. Guys, the art is my favorite part. I'm just going to go on until someone stops me. It used to be so bad and amateurish, some like Conan, some like hot lady like on the ground holding the leg of like muscular man garbage, like some hot topic trash.
Super inconsistent.
Oh, I love it.
Pulp
It's
novel.
the worst.
Yep.
It's like you deserve to get wedgied for owning some of the cards I own. But over the years, they've attracted like the most talented fantasy artists alive, right? And now their game is so fucking tight. Like some of this shit is capital A art, like for real. And I was reading about these artists recently. There was this one woman who used to work, I don't know if she still works there, but apparently Magic fans were super mad about her style. They thought it was, quote, too girly. And I guess she got like let go because of that. But then there was like such an outcry, they had to bring her back. And I was looking at art, and it's like, you don't deserve her. Like, she's so fucking good. Oh my god. I should probably look up this person's name. But I just I love scrolling through. Like, I'm never going to play any of the sets from when I stopped, right? From like, what is that, like 15 years I was gone. I'm not going to play any of them, but I definitely want to look at every single one of those cards. Like, it's important to me that I have viewed them because they are exquisite.
It's nice to hear you excited about something, Austin.
I wish I could afford them. Oh god, that's another thing. Like, so to keep up with Magic, I think there's 4 blocks a year now, and it's like I guess the best value would be like buy a booster box, which is like $100. But even then, you're not guaranteed.
The booster box are, they're pretty tight.
But you're not guaranteed like all of the best cards or enough of the best cards. Like you drop $100 on a booster box. And it's like, oh yeah, you pull a couple mythics and a couple like holographic rares or whatever, and it's like, oh sweet, I have like half the cards to make a competitive deck now.
There is, and this is the thing. This is one of the things that that drove a lot of the people I know out of the game, is that there's so much wastage going on. I know a lot of guys who went from Magic to actually playing poker. Because it meant that they could spend money still buying into games. But then they would walk out the other end, either with money or no money. And I mean, Magic at the other end, you're walking out with no money.
Unless you're at the very, very highest level. And a lot of those levels, people play like Vintage, which is a format where like every card that's ever been made is basically
Fucking
legal.
Black Lotus.
Yeah, which the Black Lotus, most people know, goes for like $30,000 or something like that. But even if, let's say you're not competitive, you're not playing for money, you're just Austin Yorsky and you want to look at cool card art while you chill with your friends.
But even still, you're not playing for money, because this is one of the genius things that Wizard does, is they don't give out money. They give out packs.
Yeah. I mean, there's people who professionally play.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, professionally, but
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty, like, that's super fucking high level. That's talking like national performance and shit like that.
I looked up this artist I was talking about. Her name is Rebecca Guay, Guay, if you want to look it up. If you literally just type that into Google, all of her Magic art will come up. It's like guys, I could go on, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm many kinds of nerds, video game, music, film, but I don't really get to do one of my favorite things, which is do collectible card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic and Hearthstone, because they represent an insurmountable financial obstacle. Like I said, four sets a year, booster box minimum is $400 a year. To stay in the game at a casual level. It
is a shame that it's for high class like that.
And I think if you said that to somebody at Wizards, they'd be like, "Oh, that's why Magic Online exists," and it's like, like I guess it's not the same.
No, I'm with you on that. Like I don't really get to geek out about my board games as much anymore. So
yeah,
I feel you, bro.
All right, I don't think we're gonna have time for both questions and law stuff this week. So you guys just want to do questions?
I guess, but I do want to say one thing real quick.
Yeah.
Pope Paul II died one of 2 ways: either from eating a melon or butt fucking someone to death. Now, I would like to think it was both.
Where did you get this? Site, sources, link?
Same thing. Same place. Pope Paul II thought to have died of indigestion arising from eating a melon, though detractors insisted he died while engaging in sodomy with a page.
Okay, well that sounds like Pope slander, papal slander.
There's a lot of Pope slander.
Oh
here,
yeah,
and most of it's probably BS.
Oh yeah,
but I still like to think it's both.
God, the politics of religion are so fucking petty sometimes. It's it's perfect.
I'm not sure that would be my sodomy go-to snack.
Melon.
I don't know. I mean, it has vitamins. You keep going.
That's true, but it just it would be sugary and sticky, and it would
Maybe
get
someone's into
everywhere, and then
Oh no.
I don't think I could do. I'd have to have something a little more compact,
Okay.
little mini samosas or something like that. Maybe pakora. There we go.
You just made that up.
Let's do questions.
Yeah, questions. Jade, our doctorate of questions, actually asks our thoughts on Lego Dice Funk. If you're not aware of what that is, someone who goes by Okidokai on Twitter and on the forums posted pictures of Legos that were made to look like Dice Funk characters in Dice Funk situations. I tweeted this at Austin Yorsky. It's on the forums. It's phenomenal.
It's very good. It's really good stuff. I was like, I kind of got very excited about it, but then I was like, okay, we can't play because it's a fictional set, but it is made to look real, and
it's a combination of existing pieces. Yeah, and
right.
Yeah.
No, I know that. I mean it it was displayed as if it were an advertisement for it, and I kind of dug that.
I sometimes feel bad that people with as much talent as our listeners have are wasting it on us. It's like, we were just making dick jokes on the internet, and you made a project, like an actual art project. Oh, it looks so good, guys. I immediately just ran around with my phone showing everybody who I could physically restrain long enough to make them look at it.
Yeah,
Yep.
It was the best.
Yep.
Yeah, gosh, so good. Okay, real question. Jesus,
I'm ready.
Yeah. Oh man, some of these questions. Hector, I'm just gonna bollocks this, guys. Mikeo asks, what languages do you guys speak? He actually asked "Que otros idiomas hablan," but that's what that means.
Okay. I speak English, obviously. I used to be able to speak Spanish very, very well, but then I was out of practice, and now I can get by a little, but I no longer have the proficiency that I used to. And that's about it. I learned a bit of French a while back, but I was like, I don't have time for this, and that was it.
I mean, basically same. I took a higher level international baccalaureate Spanish, which is tested out as a fluency level. I've probably told that story about how you give the 15-minute speech in Spanish and such, but I literally haven't used it since then, so it's atrophied to nothing.
Yeah. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah. And now we get to learn how much French Johnny has retained. I'm excited.
I know enough to argue with a telephone operator.
It's the exact amount you need.
Yeah.
So it's and I mean it's not European French either. It's Quebecois French. So
dirty French.
Regular French is the language of romance. Canadian French is the language of fucking.
This is how I am told. This is how I am told that's actually that's actually the case.
Nailed it.
I can't say one way or another. I don't know. But yeah. So, like I said, enough to argue with a telephone operator. And I also speak fluent Esperanto. And call bullshit on that if you want, because you'll never know. Because nobody else in the world speaks it. So
So prove it.
There you go.
All right. Michael John Carter asks, how much do you guys use TV tropes? I assume everyone knows what that means, but in case you don't, it's like Wikipedia, but only for media. Like there's, yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean by use? I mean, never for research, but like,
I don't know.
if someone links me to one, like, hey, this is funny because this, I'm like, yeah, okay. But it's pretty low on my priorities in terms of websites I want to go to.
I've known some people who had very strong opinions about that site, like people who think it's like super lame and detrimental to think about art that way, and some people who think it's like a really cool thing that I spend a lot of time on. I mostly use it in the extremely egotistical way of checking the ones that I haven't mentioned on. I'm just going to be real with you guys. There's a Word Funk and Dice Funk one, and I peep those. Yeah. So
I've seen the Renegade cut TV tropes.
Uh-huh.
I'm not happy with the fact that they used a picture of me from a previous show.
Leon's got beef.
Got beef with that. But I haven't checked it in quite a while, so maybe it's changed. I don't want to look at it right now.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Johnny?
I've been there.
Yeah. You have any strong opinions? Like, do you think it's detrimental to basically tear art apart and categorize it so just
detrimental to for fuck's sakes. I mean,
I've heard it.
Oh, well, that's it. TV tropes is up. We can't make any more art ever again.
But we've talked before about how being a critic of something kind of changes how you perceive it. Like, it's hard for me to play video games like most people play video games because I see like the design of it so clearly.
I am trying even to this day so hard to not pay as much attention to those things as I used to.
And that's what I'm saying when I say detrimental to art. Like, having that site where everybody knows it's there and they can check it anytime and immediately break down the experience they have into, like, quantifiable units. Do you think that's at all harmful? Or do you just think that's just, like, that's just life?
No, I don't.
Now?
Because, well, here's the thing. Don't go there.
Okay. That's totally fair and reasonable.
I should mention,
it's the same as these people who. Sorry, Leon. Just a quick thought here. It's the same as people who are like the guy who spent fucking I can't even remember how much money it was. It was like $1,000 or something to get early access to No Man's Sky, and his explanation was, "Oh well, when I play video games and I kind of get stuck, I just can't help but look up wikis on the internet, and I thought it would be really enlightening to just be the first person and not actually have that." And I was like, yeah, or you could just not look shit up on the internet and not spend $1,000 fucking dollars on a game.
That's easy. It's easy to pass.
Sakes, dude.
It's easy to pass judgment on other people for their character flaws. I find myself often struggling with a lack of self-control. And I would like sometimes the ability to turn off parts of my brain. So I don't know. I sympathize. I don't know.
How I feel, I mean, I'm the opposite. The more I learn about something, the more interesting it becomes to me. Like, someone asked me that on my Tumblr inbox the other day, and they said, does learning more and more about film and more about this and that and the other, does that take you out of the movie when you're watching it? And I was like, no, it makes it way more interesting. And the fact that I think about it more afterwards makes it enhances the experience. And that's not true of everyone, but that's
I would also say film has advanced more as an art form, so that they're better at hiding some of the stuff that in video games are still kind of ungainly.
Okay.
Oh, you can see that just right from the titles.
Yeah.
If I say to you, "Oh, there's a movie called Tangerine,"
yeah,
then someone would be like, "Oh, what's it about?" But then I'd be like, "There's a video game called Death Squad 2."
That sounds right. I heard Death Squad 1 had no multiplayer. What do they think they're doing?
You're joking, but there are literally games called Killzone.
No, I know. No, I'm not actually I'm being completely honest here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the episode where
Space
between the
Dragon Age, Crisis.
Yeah, video games and the Nintendo talk and the Christianity talk. It seems like we're being very negative about stuff I'm actually super into.
Yeah.
Video games are weird and cool.
Yeah.
Probably got to squeeze like 1 or 2 more questions in here before Leon abandons us.
Yeah.
Silent Wind of Doom asks, in an alternate universe where the other two didn't exist, but you still had a podcast on your own, what would it be about?
Wow. I would be too sad to make one. So I reject the premise of the question.
I guess that's an option.
No, that's not true. I do sometimes think about having another show, but it would take an incredible amount of research and incredible amount of time to the point that I couldn't even do Renegade Cut, and that it's a show that I keep. It pops into my head every time some bullshit conspiracy theory or like pseudoscience comes up, like flat earthers found me recently.
Oh boy. Oh, yeah. The cream of the crop.
Yeah. It's a show called Mulder, I'm Hanging Up. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Mm-hmm. And it would be basically about debunking something once a week. And I think people would watch it or people would listen to it. But again, like I would have to dedicate an incredible amount of my time to it. And I really like what my life is like now. So.
How do you be so into flat earth shit? Like that it defines your like online presence and like the way you portray yourself to the world, but you just haven't done any research on it.
Austin, I think you are misjudging the levels here.
Okay.
Insofar as that, like, it's not that they are like so into flat earthers. It's just that they're into nothing else.
I guess
I can attest to that because one of the flat earthers who found me and tried to post in my comment section, they said their flat earth thing.
Yeah,
and I was blown away by how dumb it was. So as is sometimes the case, I clicked on their YouTube profile, and every video is about it.
But that's what I'm saying. They're so into it. Surely they must have come across the fact that it's wrong.
No. Again, you know, like you're being like, okay, if a human being is capable of like 100% of energy, all right, and you give like 100% of your energy to everything, there are people who have varied interests who are like, well, 20% of me is like really into reading, you know, 40% of me is into my job, and you know, like I really like to exercise, so like 30% is into like exercising, and then 10% I dedicate to painting or something like that. You know, it's like, yeah, okay, all right, okay, sure. Mm-hmm. So there is like conceivably a person out there who dedicates 10% of themselves to everything else that they have to do. So like work, sleep, you know, the very bare minimum of family. And what they have left is like 40% of something. And that 40% all goes into flat earther shit. Now, that's not enough energy to actually learn anything new, and you're not focusing your attentions in like a variety of different places, so nobody is ever like, oh, hey, well, you know, if flat earth was actually a thing, then tell me about it's just enough to override all of your other interests in life and be the thing by which you define yourself.
I guess so.
Like, you don't expose yourself to anything else.
I mean,
everything else is just business as usual. And then it's like this one thing where you're like, I have discovered the truth. I know what it is that other people fear in the night. You will listen to me.
I can't relate to that, man. When I get interested in something, I delve so deep into it and everything about it. Like, play every game, like, read every article. I'm just like, I live it, man. If I was, like, really into the shape of the Earth, like, I'd want to know which one was right. Like, that would be important to me.
Austin, this is the thing about you, is you are a man of varied interests. You are a person who is intellectually curious. You want to divide your energy more among different things. You're not content just being a law school student. You want to be a law school student who's also really into video games and literature and Magic the Gathering and you know, like your energies are divided. I'm being really simplistic when I'm like 10% to this, 10% to that, because people are complicated motherfuckers.
What if they could use 100% of their brain, though?
Oh my god! Don't do that. That would be episode 2. We probably should wrap up. I do want to say one thing. We kind of buried the lead here because the curse is broken, and I'm into like all kinds of things that Johnny has recommended to me over the years. All of a sudden, so that's done. I guess.
I'm
a lot of it's music, like Elbow, the Walker Brothers. I'm gonna butcher this name, but I keep calling it either Okerville or Ockerville River.
Ockerville. Yeah.
A bunch of stuff like that. I also started watching Twin Peaks, which both of you guys have been saying to watch like forever, and I've been holding off for my own reasons. But now that David Lynch is doing stuff again, I don't have to be worried so much about not having Lynch stuff to do.
You've got until May. It's
Yep.
okay.
Wait,
I'm watching about.
I'm getting a little choked up.
Didn't you play
okay.
Deadly Premonition before watching Twin Peaks?
Oh yeah.
How did that do? That must have made no fucking sense.
Look, I don't think the game makes much sense in general,
Fair.
but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I enjoyed the experience. I did not finish that game
okay.
for one reason or another.
I haven't finished it yet either. You know.
Yeah, I'm watching Twin Peaks, and I'm like, oh, I get what Zach is like now.
I'm excited to talk more about this next week when we don't waste half an hour on fucking popes.
The answer to the question is obviously a podcast about artisanal breads, cheeses, cured meats, condiments. I recently visited my local deli, and there's this tapenade I bought called Hellish Relish. 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Nice
and spicy, just sweet enough. Like, brilliant concoction. It went excellent on my rosemary and olive oil crackers with just a touch of the buffalo salami that I bought.
Did I answer that podcast question? I can't even remember.
Yeah, go ahead.
Me and Lauren are thinking about starting an anime podcast, which we didn't actually have time for, but probably that because I would already be doing video game stuff if you guys weren't here. So then my other project would probably be that.
Although, Leon, let me just say this quickly.
Mm-hmm.
If you get onto I'm hanging up Mulder, sign me on. I'm in.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't do it by myself.
I'm subscribed to it already.
No, I mean, like, that's, it's sort of a hobby of mine as well. I mean, I subscribe to the Skeptical Inquirer, and
right.
I'm all about critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have enough faith in people to actually be capable or intelligent enough to actually pull off conspiracies as complicated as people seem to think they are. Because people are kind of dumb shits.
Often.
Yeah.
So, anything you guys want to say before we go?
Noyan Dar Tazim Lolmage. I just wanted to get that on tape one more time because it's garbage. It's absolute nonsense.
I'm okay with people who are kind of dumb shits.
Okay.
And also hot young popes in your area.
I'm gonna have to watch.
I'm
gonna have to watch Young Pope to talk about it now on the show, huh?
If you're gonna watch Young Pope, I have to watch Young Pope.
Okay.
Oh, if you guys are gonna watch Young Pope, I have to watch Young Pope.
I know. I don't want to watch Young Pope.
Young Pope book club.
I kind of want to watch Young Pope, but mostly because there was a really great video about someone trying to write the theme song to Young Pope, and it was very funny.
Look, I haven't even started watching Tom Hardy's new show, Taboo, yet. All right, I got 2 episodes. I gotta jump on that, and then Legion is starting next month.
And Series of Unfortunate Events just dropped.
It did, and I gotta start that too.
God.
I do not.
Man.
All right.
It's such a sucky life to have such access to leisure.